the microphone. Um, the recordings have a really hard time picking up clearly what is said unless you're speaking directly into the microphone. So please pass the microphone to each person and go from there. Thank you.
I'll call this meeting of the McHenry County Zoning Board of Appeals to order. Today's hearing is a continuation of petition Z250068. Today's hearing date, time, and location were announced on the record at the last hearing date of October 9, 2025. Therefore, notice by publication, certified mail, and posting were not required for today's continuation. When we left off, at the last hearing, the petitioner wanted to incorporate testimony from the previous petition that they had filed. Since that time, we obtained an opinion from the state's attorney's office that that is not acceptable because this is a new petition. It has to start from scratch. So all their testimony will have to be starting new today. Nothing from the previous hearing will be incorporated. And because of that, for the public, anyone who's opposed to this, they also have to start over. Any petitions, any letters opposed to this, any testimony cannot be incorporated from the previous hearing. So because this is all new, the petitioner was made aware of this by his attorney, the state's attorney let him know, but a lot of the public did not know. So I just wanted to be said at the very beginning of this hearing that I will be continuing this hearing to another day if we don't finish today, so the public will have an opportunity to ask questions of any of the testimony given today, as well as the opportunity to present any letters of objection or petitions or what have you. So I just want that to be known at the very beginning.
Madam Chair, may
Yes.
I interrupt for just a second?
Sure.
Okay. For the record, my name is Anna Kurtzman, Senior Planner. You indicated that testimony that was received prior to today would not be accepted. Anything that is directly related to Z25-0068 has been presented to you most recently as of yesterday with all the emails that staff has received that is directly related to Z25-0068. So I do not need to have everything that's been submitted resubmitted. If you do have a question, feel free to give me a call or email me or whatever. I'll be happy to respond and let you know if you need to resubmit something. Thank
I
you.
apologize, I misspoke. I intended to mean the previous petition, anything that was submitted for the previous petition. So we have received correspondence for this petition, and that is accepted into evidence. But, so anyhow, the attorney for the petitioner has been made aware that they need to start over. So are you ready to proceed, Mr. McKenna? So I'll have, again, I'll have the board members who are present introduce themselves and the township in which they reside, starting on my left.
Bill Kernick, Grafton Township. Robert Cookman, Algonquin Township.
Charlie Eldridge, Richmond Township.
Linnea Kustra, Alden Township.
Vicki Gartner, Nunda Township.
Kurt Schnabel, Riley Township.
Jess Beverly, Door Township.
And again, to just go through the way the hearing works, the petitioner will present their testimony. They'll be asked questions by the board, by staff, and then if there's any member of the public who has a question regarding his testimony, you'll be allowed 3 minutes at the end, and I ask you to be not repetitive. And if your question is already be asked and answered, it doesn't do us any good to hear that same question 2 times. So I ask you to move along with, but you have 3 minutes to ask questions of the petitioner regarding their testimony today. I'll have you line up on my right along the wall so that we can move through it quickly. The last hearing, it took several days, and if any way we could make this more efficient, we'd like to be able to do so. So you'll need to state your name and address before you ask a question, and I'll use the timer on my phone for their 3 minutes. At the end of when everybody's questions have been asked, if you have a question that wasn't asked, I will allow you to do that. And then at the end of that questioning time period, the staff will give their report, and then if you have a comment, you will be allowed to do that. You'll have 3 minutes to give your comments regarding this petition. But again, the first opportunity is for questions only. If you start giving a commentary, I will cut you off because that is for a secondary part of the hearing. It's only for questions the first time around. So anybody who thinks that they would like to speak today, whether it's asking questions or giving testimony, you need to be sworn in. This is a quasi-judicial hearing. So I would ask you to raise your right hand. Do you affirm that the testimony you give today shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Yes.
Okay. I think I've covered everything. I'll turn it over to Mr. McKenna.
Thank you very much. Start with an opening statement. And I'm going to read something prepared by the petitioner. At Sunbury Orchard, our mission has always been simple: grow honest food, raise animals with care, and serve our community with transparency. For years, our family has proudly provided this community with fresh produce, open markets, and wholesome experiences rooted in local agriculture. As part of our farm's growth, we've proposed a small-scale USDA-inspected processing facility. This is not a factory-style slaughterhouse. It is a humane, low-volume facility built specifically to process the animals that we already raise right here on the same land where they were born and cared for. We're not bringing in outside livestock or large transport fleets. We're simply closing the loop on our own farm. Right now, we're forced to haul livestock hours away for processing. That adds stress to the animals, raises costs for consumers, and increases our environmental footprint. This facility solves that. It lets us process humanely, responsibly, and locally. The building will be clean, quiet, and modern. There will be no open waste, no odor, and no visible impact on neighboring homes. It is designed to meet the highest federal and local standards with a focus on sustainability, animal welfare, and environmental protection. We've deliberately placed the facility away from nearby homes and will meet or exceed every regulation. It will not disrupt the peace or character of the area. It will look and function like any other agricultural structure. We have no interest in harming the land we live and work on. We understand that the word slaughterhouse can be unsettling, but this is not industrial meatpacking. It is a farm-based solution for a farm-based need. It's how we take responsibility for what we raise and serve the families who care about where their food comes from. Now, we're aware that the neighboring property owners have raised concerns about this petition. Those concerns are centered around potential odor and noise pollution, the risk of groundwater contamination, visible impact on adjacent neighborhoods, and the proximity to residential subdivisions. As I've just read in the petitioner's statement, we're not proposing an industrial slaughterhouse. This will be a fairly small operation limited to the processing of animals already raised by petitioner on petitioner's farms. The proposed building itself, exclusive of the covered porch, is only 4,200 square feet, which by itself limits the scope of the processing that can be done on site. The building is specifically designed as a processing facility to limit odor and noise from the operation. Because of these factors, the neighbors should not experience any odor or noise whatsoever. As for the risk of groundwater contamination, petitioner will install a new septic system to accommodate the bathroom and wash sinks in the building. The septic system will only accept the same types of waste typically associated with a residential septic system. No animal waste of any kind will be disposed of in the septic system, and in fact, no animal waste of any kind will be disposed of on the property. All such waste will be collected in a dedicated holding tank and hauled away off-site to be rendered. Such waste will be recycled by the rendering company into inedible proteins for other uses. The third concern it raised is that of the visible impact on the adjacent neighborhoods. Again, this is a fairly small building that petitioner intends to construct. It's even smaller than the existing building that already exists on the property. It will also be further away from the existing residential area than the larger building that already exists on the property. And as you will see in the proposed elevation design, the building has been designed to be attractive as well as functional. This is not a utilitarian factory building. It will look no different or be any more out of place than any ag-exempt building that the petitioner could otherwise construct on the property. Similarly is the concern raised about the proximity to the residential subdivisions. Again, petitioner does not seek to put this facility up next to a residential neighborhood. The ordinance requires that the facility be not less than 500 feet from the nearest residence. Other than the house that petitioner owns on his property, this facility will be more than 1,000 feet from the nearest residence. It will be built further away from the residences than the larger building that already exists on the property. It will also be shielded from sight from the neighbors by either fully or partially by that existing building and by the 30 acres of orchards that the petitioner has planted between his proposed building and the residential area. It's our goal today, then, to demonstrate to the ZBA and to the interested parties that the petition meets the conditions for approval set forth in the Unified Development Ordinance, but has also been thoughtfully designed to fit seamlessly into the agricultural uses that are already being performed at the property, and to alleviate the concerns of the neighboring property owners, and to demonstrate at the end of the day there will be no change in their use or enjoyment of their homes. Then for my first witness, I would like to call Celine Taylor. If you pass her the microphone. Celine, could you state and spell your name for the record?
Hi, my name is Celine Taylor, C-E-L-I-N-E-T-A-Y-L-O-R.
And you are an environmental health practitioner?
Correct.
And for whom do you work?
The McHenry County Department of Health Environmental Division.
And are you familiar with this project? Thank you. So, I'm
Could
sorry.
you repeat that, please?
Sure. And for whom do you work?
I work for the McHenry County Department of Health Environmental Division.
And are you familiar with this project?
I am.
And you've been working with our petitioner, Sergey, on the design of the septic and disposal systems at the proposed facility?
Yes, I do the plan review for that.
Excellent. So then I'd like to direct your attention to the septic system design that's here. There have been several revisions of this design, the last one looking like it's February of 2024. Before any buildings permits for the facility issue, would the health department have to approve the final septic design?
Yes,
And would you say that the purpose of the health department approval is to ensure that only appropriate waste is routed into the septic system?
that is part of it, yes.
And that's to protect groundwater to ensure against contamination.
Yes,
Now, petitioner will have to install a septic system at the building because it will have toilets and sinks,
correct.
correct? And the private sewage disposal system, the septic system, is located here west of the facility. What types of waste will that septic system accommodate?
So based on the design that you have, currently that's going to be just taking what we consider domestic waste. So that would be like toilet waste, shower waste, anything that's involved with that, like similar to a household waste.
Perfect. And in fact, on this plan, it does say that only toilet waste, mop sink, and sink for cleaning equipment to go to septic system. All other waste to be routed to special waste holding tank per USDA requirements. That's what you would expect in this type of a plan.
Yes,
Okay. So again, no different than any other typical household septic?
for the actual septic
For the
system.
septic, yes.
Yeah, if it's designed to take domestic strength waste, if I can expand a little bit, we do, after this system, were it to be approved, is installed and is operational, we do a waste strength test requirement for certain non-residential systems such as this one to further ensure that the constituents or what makes up that waste is roughly matching that of a house for certain constituents. So the test will be part of this specific project as well.
So ultimately, after that test, that will ensure that the septic system is similar to the septic system serving the surrounding property owners.
Correct.
Okay. Will the final septic design that the health department ultimately approve allow any animal waste to be routed into the septic system?
So the septic design is just for everything, like we see what is on that design right there outside of the building. We do take a look at the building permits submitted to planning and development to make sure those are consistent with each other. So we can take a look at like the plumbing and the way things are routed within the building to help ensure that that matches the septic design that we ultimately approve.
But the plan would not be approved if there were animal waste that was going to be routed into the septic system?
Correct.
Okay. The plan states that all other waste to be routed to a special waste holding tank. Can you describe the special waste holding tank and how it's used?
Sure, so the special waste holding tank is just a below-ground tank. It does not allow anything to exit the tank into the ground. Basically, that tank is solid and it has an alarm on it so that when it fills up, the property owner is responsible to have a contract with a Illinois Environmental Protection Agency licensed special waste hauler, and that company would then, pump out the tank and remove all of that waste that has been collected from within the building to an approved site. And then our program right now through the health department is to go back and routinely inspect those tanks. Currently, it's about every 2 years. We ask for records and documentation of which hauler that property has been working with to ensure that the waste has been being removed. We also check for the function of the alarms and, general condition of the tank after it's been put into use.
So the tank is designed in such a way so as to prevent spillage or leakage or anything like that?
Correct. The design is just a tank and nothing should be going out of it.
Okay, and then what typically happens with the tank when, or with the contents of the tank when the tank starts to fill up?
Sure. As I said, the alarm would go off and the property owner would be responsible for working with a specific type of company, a special waste hauler, to remove that content from the property and properly, take it to the place it's supposed to be disposed of.
And the alarm, does that go off like when the tank is right at the top and one more drop and it's going to spill out, or does the alarm usually set up to give some notice?
So this alarm will be set at a 2/3 capacity of the tank, so it would trigger before the tank is full.
Thank you. I'm just going to read to you quickly an email that was sent from Patricia Nam to Anna Kurtzman back in November of 2024. First, can you tell us who Patricia Nam is?
She's the Director of Environmental Health.
Okay, so her email from, again, November 21, 2024 says, "Hi, Anna. Mr. Bazilkut has been working with the Department of Health for quite a while on his proposed project to construct a chicken processing facility at 3712 Greenwood, Woodstock. Mr. Bazilkut has a pending permit for the water supply and private sewage disposal system to serve the proposed facility. There are several technical issues to be addressed. However, I'm confident that we have sufficient information to confirm that a permit can be issued to install a system meeting new construction standards." And then she says he doesn't want to move forward until he ensures that he has necessary zoning approval. Do you agree with that there's sufficient information to confirm that a permit could be issued to meet new construction standards?
Yes, it's still the same situation. He has this pending permit.
Great. And then in your opinion, as an environmental health practitioner, is the system designed in such a way that will provide for the proper disposal of both household and animal waste from operations and prevent groundwater contamination?
Sure. As it's designed right now, it's meeting our ordinance requirements. Per the email, just a few technical items remain to be addressed, but it does so far meet all of our requirements regarding distances to water wells on his own property, distances to water wells on the neighboring properties. Those are the main controls that we have in place, as well as sufficient distance to the groundwater, because we set the maximum depth that a septic field can go in the ground under that permit as well. So he has so far demonstrated all of those distances are met. And as I said earlier, there will be a final waste strength sample after he's operational. to get like an actual specific test of like how it's functioning on his site.
Very good, thank you. I don't have anything further.
Okay, we'll start with questions, am I right? Ms. Beverly?
Thank you. Is it your intention to incorporate your narrative on the approval standards into the record? Or would you like to offer testimony on the approval standards for the variations and the conditional use? Or are we just doing this one witness first and then
I'm
we're
just
gonna
doing
get-
this one witness first.
Oh, great. Thank you for clarifying. Cool. I had a couple questions for you, Ms. Taylor. The 2/3 capacity triggers before the tank is full, and you testified that you review the records of removal every 2 years. Are there site visits or anything like that from the health department to monitor?
Sure. So every 2 years, you know, give or take a few months, we go out to the physical site. So we do an on-site inspection at that time and interview, you know, whoever is responsible for the facility to request a copy of those records and then look at the physical. Like, you know, we open up the tank and we verify that the alarm is working. So our inspectors physically do that about every 2 years.
And is part of the inspection to also look at the septic to make sure that there's no misuse of the septic field?
So his system does not have a registration program because it doesn't have any like electronic components that need to be upkept. So as it currently is, we typically would not be going back and looking at his septic on a routine basis. But if we're out there and we were to see an obvious concern while looking at the holding tank, you know, we would bring that to the owner's attention, but there's not a routine inspection for his septic as it's designed.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Kurt, do you have any questions?
Based on what I've heard, I don't have any questions for the health department at this time. Thank you.
Vicki, Ms. Gartner?
My question's been asked. Thank you.
Mr. Eldridge?
Thank you. Really just one question. It is my understanding that the special waste tank is for liquids generated in the processing, that solids go through a different procedure. They have to be refrigerated and then are processed in a different way. Is that correct?
The holding tank is only for the liquid waste that would enter the floor drains throughout the processing and kill floor areas of the building. So you're correct.
Mr. Cozen?
Thank you. Thank you. Working off the drawing that's dated May 25th, I think that's the same information on there that we had. Yes. Specifically, in terms of the sizing, it says you're utilizing, you meaning the applicant is utilizing a 3,000-gallon poly tank. The alarm goes off at 2/3 capacity, which, if my math is correct, that's 2,000 gallons. How did you size it to come to 2,000 gallons?
So that's something that the designer, the engineer was going to provide to us. Our minimum size is a 1,000 gallon holding tank. So he is doing it about 3 times bigger. All that is, it just means it would mean he would need to pump it more often or less often, but the designer is the one that chooses that flow, and they do meet our minimum of 1,000 gallons.
And his notes or design standards, has that been submitted for the public record, or?
No.
No. There is a illustration on the household septic for a grease trap. Is that something that the county requires for domestic septic tanks?
So I do not require a grease trap. That's inside the building, so that would be through the planning and development to determine.
Right, but the grease trap is shown outside the building adjoining the septic tank, between the eastern wall of the if my direction's eastern wall of the septic tank and the house. And maybe that was, there's even a note, an arrow to it, note parcels under common ownership, and then there's an arrow that goes to a grease trap, and that may be something you can seek.
That's going to be reviewed by the building department.
I'm sorry, you need to identify.
Yes.
We haven't identified you yet, so state your name.
Name Sergey Bazyluk, Sergiy, Bazylyuk. This plans is going to be reviewed by the building department as well, and designer put the grease trap just for the extra precaution, so no grease will get to the domestic septic system.
There is also on this plan one well, what I would call in the northeast corner, and then there appears to be another well due east. Are they both serving the building, or is there an explanation for that?
There is explanation. One well designed strictly for orchard irrigation, so only one well will serve this new building.
But both lines come to the eastern wall of the building, if you follow the plan.
The lines just to show the distance between well and the building. It's not necessary the water will come from that well, just to show how many feet the well away from the building.
I have no other questions.
Mr. Kernick?
Yeah, just a couple of questions. The only liquids, or the
Please
source,
speak directly into the
the
mic.
source of the liquids that go to this special tank, that's simply the floor drains in the building, is that correct?
So as I see it right now is it would be the floor drains in the kill floor area and the holding pen area and the porch area. That's what I see so far.
And those are floor drains?
And they're floor drains.
And those are gravity flow to the special holding tank?
Yes.
And the connection at the special holding tank from the, I guess I'll call it the sewers from the floor area, that's a solid connection?
That's correct.
And the access to the, to that special tank for pumping out, there's lids at grade, or could you explain that for me, please?
Yes, there's a lid that's at grade that is removable for both inspection or for pumping. It will have a label that says special waste on it so that people know what it is, but that will be a visible at grade or above grade lid.
Okay, and to pump it out or to empty it, is that a solid connection at the lid, or is it just a hose that fits in the opening and pumps out?
It's like a 12-inch lid, so when you open the lid, the pumping company will just put probably a couple-inch hose inside of the lid, so there isn't like a direct port. You just open a lid.
So it's not a solid connection to pump it out, I guess, to withdraw the fluids?
No.
Okay, that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Okay, I just have a few questions. I'm looking at the memorandum from Patty Num, Department of Health, dated July 9, 2025, that they'd reviewed information to determine compliance with the public health ordinance and offered the following comments: that the Division of Environmental Health has a pending permit application for installation of the private sewage disposal system to serve the facility, and they had comments listed on their March 31st, 2025 memorandum that need to be addressed prior to issuance of the permit. Are you familiar with those?
If you want to read them to me, I can
I don't
address
have them in
Okay.
front of me.
But yes, I am familiar with the comments. I don't have them in my brain right now, but permit is still pending. Yeah.
Okay. Do you know if those issues have been addressed?
They are issues that are supposed to be addressed under the permit application. I am not sure if they have been addressed as of today, if someone wants to remind me of them, but
At this point, my understanding is that all of the requirements have not been addressed because we are waiting to get through zoning approval. But the point being that the permit would not issue unless those concerns were addressed, correct?
That is correct.
So in order to get the permit, we'll need to address the concerns. We haven't addressed the concerns because we haven't gotten through zoning.
Okay, the second point she makes is that if customers can order meat online and pick it up at the facility, a retail food health permit will be required. And the pending private sewage disposal system does include capacity for the retail food operation. So do you have any comment on that?
No, it just has a design listed on there for employees and potential customers. So they designed the system that if they want to move forward in the future with, visitors to the site, that they can also use the restrooms there, and the sewage disposal system that you see is significantly, or is sized for that.
So it's designed for a retail food operation.
If they choose to go that way, the septic system specifically is for a certain amount of customers and employees per day, but they would need a retail food permit and additional requirements to be met as well. But for water and for sewage, they're demonstrating that upfront.
So how many people is this designed to meet? Like how many customers, how many employees?
I see 6 employees and 15 retail customers.
So that's what this system was designed to meet. And would those 15 retail customers be in how daily, weekly, how is it designed?
It is designed per day.
Per day. So 6 employees per day and 15 retail per day.
Yes, and if that helps, the total amount of gallons per day currently is about 1,200. And to put that in perspective, if we were designing like a 5-bedroom house, that would be a 1,000 gallon per day system. So it's roughly the size, a little bit bigger than like a 5-bedroom house system.
Okay, thank you. Staff have any questions?
No questions at this time.
Does any member of the public have a question for this witness? Okay, anyone who has a question, I want you to go up against the wall so we can get through everybody real quick. And you'll have to give your name and address, and then I'll use my phone for your 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is James Ferretti, 9340 Rachel Drive, Wonder Lake. I have a question. The permit you received, is it strictly for chickens or any other animals?
This is only regarding this septic system.
Yeah. Sorry, the permit for the septic she received.
Sure, it is labeled as chicken processing facility, but we at the health department don't have different waste strength standards depending on what type of animal he would be processing, because it was considered by the designer to be just domestic strength waste, which means like household strength waste. So
But I'm talking about the tank, the remnant tank.
the tank for which the processing waste is going to, like I said, we don't have a requirement that it needs to be chicken processing waste, but it's labeled as such on the plan. These are the same types of tanks that we put in for like an auto shop that has floor drains and there's greases going into that. It's the same type of tank. We don't change the standards based off of whether it's food processing or other type, as long as it's a non-hazardous, what we would call special waste.
But what if you're doing hogs, I'm assuming that's a lot more water, blood, everything will go down those drains then versus chickens alone. And when I met with the director of environmental health, she specifically said it was just for chickens, and that's the information they received. So it doesn't seem like it's designed for what he's planning to do here.
What part do you think is exceeding the chickens?
Yeah, because if he's going to be doing hogs, it will require more water, more solids, more everything. If he's doing chickens and hogs and other animals.
Right, so we just are going off of, we just have a minimum tank size of 1,000 gallons. They can choose to put in more tanks if they want. It just means they're going to have to pump it more often. This tank, it just fills up and gets pumped as often as they need to. So we don't have a maximum size. It's on the property owner to pump it as often as they need to, because it's not like the septic system, which is taking the toilet waste and actually being treated and being disposed into the ground. This one is, it's just gonna fill up and get pumped, so they can put in 1 tank, 2 tanks. The health department isn't gonna set a cap on how large that tank needs to be. It's just how often he wants to have someone to come and pump it.
Okay, so there's a potential it could be filled, overflow pretty quickly, and we rely on him to empty it.
Yeah, they
And
have
there's
the
no
alarm on it.
Alarm, there's no alarm to the health department. Is there alarm to the health department?
It doesn't go to the health
No.
department.
Dang, okay. That's scary. All right, thank you.
Okay, next person. Name and address.
Good afternoon. Lisa Griffith, 3670 Twin Oaks Drive, Wonder Lake. I have a question regarding the septic system. You said that it is designed per a regular residence, correct? It meets residential standards.
It is with a couple additional standards on top of it, because we consider it also a non-residential septic, because it's not serving one residence as a house. So it meets at minimum the residential standards, plus in our ordinance we have non-residential standards that it also adheres to.
What are those non-residential standards?
Sure, so for the actual seepage field where this treated sewage ultimately goes, it is twice. There's a second area for future expansion, or if it were to fail, designated on the design. So they have designated that they have a replacement area. They have also, because it is sized for the 15 visitors potentially per day plus 6 employees, that's more than 20 people. So due to the larger volume of visitors at this non-residential versus just a house, that field needs to be 200 feet away from any neighboring water wells versus a residential house septic would only need to be 75 away from any neighboring water wells. They can be, in this instance, 75 feet to their own water well that's on the property. And then the last thing is the non-domestic or the non-residential waste strength testing that I mentioned earlier, where they will be taking a test of the wastewater once the facility is operational. So that's a third measure that they have to take that exceeds that a normal house would have to take.
Okay. Is a grease trap a normal part of a residential setup?
We don't require or not require grease traps because that's really a plumbing code thing. One of the things that this place is going to test is for fats, oils, and greases because you don't want those ending up in the septic. So having a grease trap is like a good precaution that they can do to make sure that the greases and fats don't actually get to the septic system because that will make it last longer, but we don't require them to have or not have that one. Yeah. Some houses do have grease traps, though. Like they can if they want.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything in the plan that would suggest that future expansion might include food service or anything of that nature that would require that grease trap?
The current proposal doesn't have anything. It just mentioned the sizing for customers per day. If they were going to do any sort of food service or sales, they would have to go through another health department review to determine if they need like an interior like kitchen or food service area. And at that time, we make sure the septic is adequate for that.
Okay, so thank you.
Okay, next person.
Okay, my first question, Susan Smith, 3860 Crabapple Lane, Wonder Lake. My first question was, is there a drain field? Because I was having trouble reading this with my eyesight. Yes, there is a drain field, correct?
Correct.
Okay. The second question is, on the animal waste tank, the access from the drains into the tank is underground, correct?
Yes.
And that tank has alarms, which I assume are electric.
Yes.
So is there a requirement from the county for some type of backup? Because we have power outages often in our neighborhood, which that's our neighborhood. Is there any requirement for a generator or something that would keep those alarms active if the power went out?
We don't have any from the public health ordinance. What we do doesn't necessarily extend to like the electrical code, so I can't really speak to those requirements. But for a septic system or a holding tank, we don't have any like backup generators that like we would be inspecting for when the tank goes in.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, David Griffith, 3670 Twin Oaks Drive, Wonder Lake. So when this plan goes to planning and zoning to review the underground plumbing, will you also have, perform a review on what goes into the 2 separate tanks?
So for this project, I am keeping an eye on that, yes. Yeah, I want to make sure that the plan that is ultimately approved matches the plumbing plan, so I can
Yes.
follow the drains going into the septic versus the drains going into the special waste holding tank.
So without a letter of approval from you, they will not get a building permit.
We issue them in conjunction usually, but we go first. And I do want to see their plumbing plans prior to issuing this permit. That is one of the comments I had.
Okay, because this grease trap is troublesome. And why did you explore the possibility of retail, future retail expansion? Were you told to do that? Because we were told there's not going to be any retail.
So I don't believe that's part of his proposal currently, but when people choose to design a septic, they can choose to make it larger than they need, just to plan for that. So the people per day that is listed on the septic plan doesn't necessarily mean he's having that many people per day in his zoning application, so that might be a question better directed at him. But the septic is designed for, like I said, the people who work there, plus it had customers on it.
It had customers on it.
For sizing purposes,
sizing.
yes, yeah.
Even though we were told there would be no customers. So, all right, thank you.
Cheryl Arena, 3520 Twin Oaks Drive. First question being, how does a floor drain that's gravity fed to a tank not create a smell? Is there something in there to prevent backflow?
So floor drains are actually reviewed by a different department than me. I'm just looking at the end point of those floor drains, so I can't really properly speak to that.
But as far as going into the tank, how does that not emit backwards?
Yeah, so from my end, I'm approving a solid tank with a solid pipe that's exiting the building. As for anything that is generated within the building or in the floor drains, I would probably have to direct you to Sergey if you want him to answer the question.
Yes,
or
I can answer. It's called the P-trap, which is called
Sergey, you need to speak into the microphone, sir.
yes, ma'am. That system called P-trap, which has holding
Right, I
water
understand how
into
those
to
work.
prevent the smells. Yes.
But the health department has nothing to do with
The
making sure
building
that
department
doesn't
will-
backflow?
No, that's not part of our plan review. We just do anything 5 feet outside of the building is within our scope.
Okay. Does the health department oversee the solid animal waste containment as far as somebody had mentioned on the board that there was refrigeration required? Do you guys oversee that as far as the health department?
No, I wasn't familiar with that requirement for
So
the
even though it's a
solid waste
health
removal.
issue, potentially, you don't oversee it?
They do need to have waste disposal, but like case by case, if there's any issues, people can bring that to us because we do some solid waste related like complaint responses. But as for permitting for this facility, I believe it is it FDA or Department of Ag that is doing the actual like operations of the inside? That is not us. That is not the health department at the county doing that interior review.
As far as the expansion, future expansion or potential overage of the septic field, do they have to go through a permit through you guys again to do that in the future? Or are they just allowed to expand because you've already allowed it on the permit?
So typically we have a construction impact review, which is where like people can give their new proposals in the futures and run that through our department to make sure that their septic is adequately sized at that future time. for whatever they'd like to do in the future. So like if a house wants to add an extra bedroom, they have to come through us again to make sure they can add that extra bedroom if they have an oversized field. So it would be kind of similar for him, is if he wants to have customers coming in and do like a remodel or addition at that time, that typically triggers a review with our department to make sure his septic meets the code and the sizing at that time.
So essentially another permit application almost, but
It-
not an official one.
Yeah, we call it a health review or construction impact review. Yeah.
Okay. If you have time, do you mind asking that last question, or this one right here? About the 15 people?
Yeah, Neil Johnson, 3540 Twin Oaks Drive. I've got a few questions. Number one is the venting of the liquid waste when it's being removed. I'm concerned about when they go to remove the waste. It's a pretty large hole, correct? You're gonna have a small tube. So I'm concerned about the smell while they're emptying the tank. Are there any regulations and so on to control that smell?
Yeah, as I described earlier, for most facilities, they have a 12-inch,
Right.
riser is our health department requirement. I don't know if there's any objections for them to doing additional things, like if you want to talk with the property owner about work going beyond that, but we don't have like any smell or additional requirements in our code right now relating to that.
Another question is, you're gonna inspect that tank and the removal process every 2 years. What if there's an accident in between? If they allow it to overflow, is that something you can see easily? Is there any type of, anything in place to prevent an overflow, or it could flow out into the surrounding areas?
Yeah, other than the alarm that's part of the permit that we've discussed, our department will respond to complaints if we're made aware of it. And we would go out to the facility and inspect it if we were made aware of something like that occurring.
No reporting requirement by the owner if anything does overflow?
We don't have that requirement right now. I mean, they should, but once we issue the
Concern.
permit, it's every 2 years. We would typically go out there.
Yeah, 2 years seems like a long time. And the power does go out quite often. And we're concerned, I'm sure everybody else is, if we get an overflow condition.
Question, sir.
Pardon
You're making
me?
a statement.
Sorry. Okay, so that's a concern of mine. You said 15 customers. Is there any way that we're going to follow up and check with the operation there if they have more than 15 that show up, or they get to where they have 30 customers a day?
That's just what they proposed. So I don't know, same thing with the house. Like, the house gets built. We're not going there every day to make sure you have that many people in your house. So similar, pretty consistent with all septic systems. Yeah.
Okay, it's a concern. Thank you.
Hi, Renee Trojan, 9210 Red Barn Drive, Wonder Lake. My question pertains to how will the chickens be kept? Will they be in a very large chicken coop, and how will that be ventilated?
This is questions only for this witness for talking about the septic, not about anything else.
No? Okay, sorry.
Regarding her testimony.
If future changes to increase septic is or make changes require, so future increases to the septic, will there be requirements for a permit? Sorry, wasn't somebody else's question.
Sure. So if they're coming in for an expansion of like their building or an addition to their, operations, that would require any sort of like expansion permits or increased, flows into the septic system, it's what I described to the other lady is they can do the health review application where we would look at, the number of people per day, number of, whatever per day, or square footage that's being added, whatever that future addition may be, and see if the existing septic can accommodate that. And then if it can, then, we could write them a letter, and if it can't, they might have to get a future permit to modify the septic, make any changes or make it bigger, additional treatment, whatever would need to be done to accommodate expansion.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Tom Burney. I used to be the attorney for this group, but I got caught in a switch on not filing an appearance in time. But I appreciate you allowing me to ask you some questions. I think I might give all my questions because I don't know that I can do it in 3 minutes. And perhaps some of you can pick up on what she can't answer. What's the size of the tank, the truck to empty the tank? And have you looked at the road system for access as to whether or not the road system's capable of handling the truck that's going to empty this tank? Second of all, the 2-year reinspection, how many of these types of tanks is the health department called upon to review on an annual basis? And whether you feel that you have the staff and the 2 years is enough given how close this slaughterhouse is to a residential development. When the alarm goes off, you've indicated it's not going to go off at the county. Where is it going to go off? Who's going to hear it? Is it possible, given the distance that this is from any frontage along the county highways, is anybody going to hear it? And if they don't hear it, what are the consequences of that? And how far away are the floor drains from the tank? Sort of following up on this odor issue. So I think that is my series of questions. And how long, based on the numbers that you've been given, will it take for this tank to fill up to 2/3? And what are the odor consequences of keeping this kind of waste in a holding tank like this in terms of this odors to the surrounding neighborhood? And I think I'll leave it at that. I don't know if the lady has time to answer those, but those are my questions.
Sure. I don't know the size of the trucks, and I don't review anything related to the ingress and egress, so I don't know the answer to that question. The every 2 years for inspections of the holding tank, I think you said how many or how much staff we have. We do have a couple hundred of these tanks already in existence throughout the county for various waste receivals. And we do have, roughly ranging 5 to 15 inspectors depending on the year and how many are actually inspecting the tanks. So we try our best to inspect them about every 2 years, if that answers your question. The alarms have to be placed within 50 feet of the actual tank, and that is just our code requirement for all of the holding tanks. I don't really have an answer to your concern. The distance between the floor drains to the tank, the floor drains are in the house, or in the actual structure, that is the plumbing code. That's not something that I control or have any comment for. And how long for the tank to fill up? Like I said, the minimum capacity is 1,000 gallons. Their choice to put in a larger tank just means they have to pump it less often. We don't have any requirements of number of gallons going into that tank, meaning they need a larger tank, because it's just about the pumping amount of times that they're going to have to do that. And then odor consequences, we do not really regulate that, so I don't have any comments relating to that, other than that it has a watertight lid on the tank itself.
Okay, are there any follow-up questions by the board? Okay, my staff?
No follow-up questions at this time.
Okay, you want to move on to your next witness?
Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming in. For my next witness, then I'd like to call Sergey Bazilgat. How might I be butchering your name after all these months? You've already stated and spelled your name for the record, so you are the petitioner in this matter, correct?
Yes.
And you're the owner of the subject property at 3712 Greenwood Road, Woodstock, Illinois?
Yes.
The subject property, the property that's subject to our petition, consists of 1.044 acres,
Correct.
and it's part of a larger 57-acre parcel, correct?
Correct.
And altogether, you own 107 acres at this location?
Yes.
So our petition seeks a conditional use for food processing with animal slaughter, a variance to the frontage requirements from the required 330 feet frontage to 0 feet frontage, and a variance to the 500-foot distance requirement set forth in section HH of paragraph 16.56.030 of the UDO, as the same relates to the distance between an animal slaughter operation and a residential structure located in an agricultural zoning district only, correct?
Correct.
How many farm properties do you own in the area?
3.
And you operate Sunbury Orchard?
Yes.
And you raise animals on all of these farms or only some of these farms?
On all of the farms. On 2.
2
from the
farms.
3, yes.
And you also own and operate farm markets?
Correct.
And where are those located?
Mundelein, Illinois, and small store in Lake Zurich, Illinois, and small store in Skokie, Illinois.
And you've brought this petition because you hope to utilize the subject property to construct and operate a facility to process animals raised by you on your farm properties, correct?
That's correct.
And the facility would also accommodate local customers who could order meat online and then pick up their order at the facility?
If county will allow it, we can accomplish that, yes.
In staff review, you indicated to county staff that at this point you estimate between 8 and 9 local customers that would utilize this pickup service at the per week.
That's correct.
The remaining meat processed at the facility, what would you do with that?
That's going to be transferred to our butcher shops in Skokie, Illinois.
Okay.
For further processing.
So then let's take a look first at the location of the property. So I'm going to. So the dark line here is your 107 acres.
Correct.
And the highlighted area there in yellow, that's where the building will be located.
Correct.
And then this building located just east of the proposed area, that's a building that's already existing?
Yes.
And that building is 104 feet by 96 feet?
Correct.
And again, this building is already there, and this building will remain at the property.
Yes.
The building that you want to construct is 100 by 50 feet?
Correct.
So the proposed building is about half the size of the building that's already there.
Yes.
And this building located east of your proposal would be a buffer between the building that you hope to construct and the nearest homeowners.
Correct.
And looking at the survey of the property. So again, the survey depicts an existing greenhouse and a food trailer, correct?
Correct.
And those are shown in the tannish color there?
Yes.
And those structures would be removed?
Yes.
So I've outlined in yellow the footprint of the proposed building.
Correct.
So the proposed building is going to be located in an area where there is already an existing structure?
Yes.
You're not adding a new building in an area where there was never a building?
Correct.
So really no different than
Mr.
if you were...
McKenna, could you go up and identify where that area is on the overhead projector so that the audience can know also where you're talking about?
On here?
Sorry.
Well, here, it's right here. This is exactly what we're looking at on the screen now. Only the building,
Sorry, there you go.
There, it's a little bigger.
do I have to jump?
Yeah, sorry.
So the building is, it's going to be about there. So this building is going to be inside, well,
No questions from the public right now. This is the petitioner and his attorney.
this is 1.44 acres of 107 acres.
Correct.
Correct? So this is inside of a 107-acre farm.
Correct.
Not a separate zoning lot, it's part of your 108 acres.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. So again, no different than if you were expanding your existing greenhouse.
Correct.
Here's a copy, or a picture of the elevation, or a proposed elevation. This would be the east side that will face the neighboring properties. So this is not a huge industrial block building?
Correct.
Correct. You designed the building to be attractive, not strictly utilitarian,
Correct.
and designed to look like any other agricultural building.
Yes.
And then put it in more perspective. Here's a copy of the County Athena map, which shows your 107 acres. And the red dot here is where you're looking to put the building?
Correct.
And I've highlighted this area here with these blue cross marks here. The Athena map from 2022 shows this as tilled ground, but what is in that area now?
That's orchard,
Okay. And how many acres of orchard do you have there?
30 acres,
What types of trees in your orchard?
apples and peaches.
So obviously, the orchard acts as a visual buffer between the proposed building and the neighboring property owners.
That's correct.
North of the subject property are also trees up here between Windermere Road and these parcels here. These are also trees,
Yes.
correct? Are those trees still there?
Yes.
And those trees also act as a buffer for the properties to the
correct.
north. So your building is here, you've got trees to the north, you've got trees to the east, you've got trees to the south.
Correct.
And you have neighbors to the north, the east, and the south.
Yes.
So let's talk about the proposed operation itself. As you said, you're looking to process animals that you raise on your own properties.
Correct.
And you plan to sell these meat to local customers?
Yes.
You hope to have online sales?
Yes.
So customers would order online and then come to pick up their orders during specified times?
Yes.
So going back to for a minute, to the elevation drawing that we just showed, that elevation showed a covered porch. This board previously raised concerns about a covered porch because the area would be a nice amenity for a retail market. First, are you planning a retail market at this location?
No, we do not plan. And porch can be easily removed if that would be deemed necessary by the county.
So the covered area was more for aesthetic purposes and to
Correct.
provide an area for your employees?
Correct.
The only retail sales that you plan to perform would be online customers?
Yes.
And they would come to the location to pick up their order?
Yes.
So you're not going to have customers coming unannounced, correct?
Correct.
No coolers full of fresh produce for people to
That's correct.
browse through? You already have farm markets that you operate?
Yes.
Where you do have coolers full of fresh produce?
Yes.
The meat that's not sold to your local online customers, you would transport that to sell to at your other farm markets?
That's correct.
You are not processing meat from other farmers?
No.
Only animals that you raise on your farm?
Yes.
Okay. In addition to the approval standards set forth in the UDO for conditional uses generally, the UDO imposes additional requirements for food processing with animal slaughter. So the first of those conditions is that no animal slaughter operation may be located on a parcel within 500 feet of any residential zoning district or residential structure located in an agricultural zoning district. As we've indicated, the facility is more than 800 feet from the nearest residential zoning district.
That's correct.
Correct. And except for the house that you own on your own property, which we'll discuss in a bit, the building will be more than 1,000 feet from the nearest residence.
That's correct.
The second of those additional requirements is that live animals may be held on the site for no more than 24 hours. So when animals are brought onto the site, will they be brought into the building immediately?
Yes.
The animals are not being kept outside in pens prior to being processed?
No.
Will any live animals be kept at this facility for more than 24 hours?
No.
You're not going to be housing animals on this site for, the night before prior to processing?
No.
The third condition is that all slaughtering processing is permitted only in an enclosed building. Again, as we've mentioned, you intend to construct a new processing facility at the property.
That's correct.
And you've been working with county staff in connection with the design of the building.
Correct.
So to talk about the design of the building itself, you've designed the building specifically as a processing facility.
Yes.
You've submitted a building plan to the county for review and approval as part of the site plan review process.
Yes. We did not just for the health department, for building.
Well,
not
building
review.
and health department.
Yes.
Right. And then you have a pending permit with the health department, as was discussed
Yes.
previously, for the water supply and for private sewage disposal system to serve the
That's correct.
facility. And you're waiting for final zoning approval before finalizing those
That's
permits.
correct.
And as was mentioned, will the health department issue a final permit if you do not meet all of its requirements?
No, they will not.
And will the building department issue you a building permit if you don't meet their building code?
Definitely not.
So that would also include plumbing plans?
Yes.
So the only way that you'll be able to construct this facility is if the health department approves it and the building department
Correct.
signs off on it. And how long have you been working with the county in connection with the design and location of this building?
2.5 years.
And you've designed the building so as to minimize noise and odor?
Yes.
And that's through compliance with the commercial construction code?
Yes.
When animals are brought to the facility, they're ushered into a holding pen, which is fully enclosed inside the building.
Correct.
And again, animals will only be outside the building long enough to move them from the transportation vehicles to the holding pen within the building.
Correct.
And all of the processing will be done inside the building itself?
Correct.
Will any animal waste or byproducts be stored or located outside of the building?
No.
The building has a dedicated office for an inspector. Why is that?
We have to provide the office for inspector with the requirements, USDA.
So it's a USDA inspector?
Yes.
And is the USDA inspector on site at all times during processing?
Yes.
And the USDA inspector is there to oversee operations?
Yes.
Disposal of solid waste?
Yes.
And that's something that's required by law?
Yes.
So given the foregoing then, isn't it true that the facility and your operation of the facility satisfies the last two remaining requirements, namely that all applicable federal, state, and county rules and regulations shall apply, and that the facility shall satisfy all requirements of the McHenry County Health Ordinance and applicable building codes?
That's correct.
A couple other things I want to mention regarding the building. Again, as you mentioned, the building will be constructed to county commercial building code,
Correct.
and it will also be constructed in accordance with health department requirements.
Correct.
And beyond the design, you will conduct your operations to ensure that no animal waste of any kind will be disposed of in the septic system.
Correct.
You will install and maintain the special waste holding tank as required by the health department.
Correct.
The tank design is in accordance with the county requirements and has the safeguards and alarms required by the county.
Correct.
And all animal waste will be collected from the holding tank and hauled away.
Correct.
Again, nothing will be disposed of on site. How will solid animal waste be disposed of?
That's going to be moved away by rendering company, and letter of intention for the service already we have on file with the county.
So you retain a rendering company that will come and pick up the
Yes.
solid waste? And how often will that happen?
Depends on their schedule or if we call them, whatever it needs to be.
So if you're operating 3 days a week, do they come at the end of the week?
Yes,
And the waste materials, that's refrigerated before they come?
yes,
And the floor drains from that refrigerated area where that would be stored, all of those floor drains drain into the special waste holding tank?
correct.
With respect to the special waste holding tank, as was discussed, the county requires a 1,000-gallon tank. Your design provides for a 3,000-gallon tank. How long will it take you with your proposed operations to fill that tank 2/3 of the way?
About a couple months.
So a couple months to fill it to 2,000 gallons.
Yes,
So if there's a 24-hour power outage and that alarm doesn't go off because there's no power, is there any imminent danger of that tank overflowing before the power comes back on?
no, because there is no power, no processing will happen.
Right, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is that if it's going to take you 2 months to fill the tank to 2,000 gallons, it's going to take you another month to fill it to the 3,000 gallons, to the point
Correct.
where it could overflow.
Correct.
So, and if there's no power, you're not going to be processing, so you're not going to be adding to the tank.
Correct.
So is, while a valid concern that there may be power outages and that the power outage may affect the alarm because the power won't power the alarm, is that an actual concern?
For me, no.
No, because by the time the power comes back on and the alarm is heard, you'll have ample time to have the
Absolutely,
tank
yes,
pumped out.
to react.
You've indicated, or we've indicated rather, that this is a fairly small operation. You're not proposing a factory-style slaughterhouse.
That's correct.
This is not trucks coming and going several times a day.
Correct.
No, this is a low-volume facility built specifically to process the animals that you raise.
Correct.
Is this even a full-time operation?
No,
How many days a week do you anticipate processing activities?
1 day a week.
And how many employees do you expect to be on site at any one time?
3 to 4.
How many deliveries would you anticipate in a week?
Deliveries, if we process 1 day, 1 time, we have to pick up the product and haul away to our butcher shop.
Okay, so you got 1 time coming in, 1 time going out, maybe 1 time a week, the rendering company coming to pick up
Yes,
the solid waste, and every couple of months, perhaps, a truck coming to pump out the special waste hauling.
correct.
How does this compare with the present number of vehicles coming and going on a daily basis?
Just for the production, we go many more times, definitely, daily, to in and out the farm.
So your typical operations require you to go to and from the farm more often
Yes.
than what's anticipated. So in your opinion, no marked increase in vehicle traffic?
Correct.
Even if you have, 8 or 9 customers that come during a particular week to pick up their orders?
Yes, they're not going to be significant.
Is there any access to your property through any of the neighbors? And by that, the neighborhood neighbors, any of the subdivisions?
No,
So your access comes from the west, correct?
Correct.
And will that change at all?
no,
So no farm vehicles that drive between houses to get to your property?
no,
And assuming that the petition is approved, will the neighbors be impacted at all by any additional
No.
traffic? Does this operation at all resemble the industrial scale slaughterhouse that your neighbors fear you want to install?
not at all.
Will the operation lead to soil or water contamination?
No,
Will there be additional noise or odor for the neighbors to deal with?
no,
Will the building itself look any different than a typical agricultural facility?
no,
You've located it away from neighbors and even farther away from the neighbors than your existing building on the property.
That's correct.
And again, between your existing building and the surrounding 30 acres of orchard, it's really unlikely that your neighbors will even see the new building.
That's correct.
And truthfully, but for having to go through this process, if you simply put up your building and started processing the animals, would your neighbors even know that the operation existed?
Probably not.
I would like to then take you through the approval standards for the conditional use. And maybe in the interest of time, I'll just read these if that's okay. The first standard is that the conditional use meets all the applicable standards of the UDO, 16.56 and 16.60. The facility will be located more than 500 feet from any residential zoning district or residential structure located in an agricultural district. As you've indicated, the proposed facility is almost 1,000 feet from the nearest neighboring residence. That said, the facility will be less than 500 feet from a residential structure located in an agricultural zoning district, and that is the subject of another variance request, which we'll get to in a minute. Live animals will not be held on the site for more than 24 hours. All slaughtering and processing will be conducted in an enclosed building. Petitioner will comply with all applicable federal, state, and county rules and regulations. The facility will satisfy all requirements of the McHenry County Health Ordinance and building codes. The second standard is the conditional use compatible with the existing or planned future development of the area. The subject property is zoned A1, agricultural district. Petitioner's proposed use is permitted in an A1 district with conditional use. The property is surrounded, the 1 acre site here that we were talking about is surrounded on all sides by parcels, the use of which is primarily agricultural. The conditional use is compatible with the existing development in the area. The third standard is the conditional use detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare of the area? Again, for all intents and purposes, the processing facility contemplated by petitioner will in all respects simply resemble another agricultural building on the 107-acre parcel owned by the petitioner. The structure is more than 800 feet from the nearest residential district, more than 1,000 feet from the nearest residence. The building has been designed in such a way to minimize noise and odor. There will be no substantial increase in traffic to the site. There is not presently, nor is there contemplated any change in that access, which would anyway affect the nearby residential districts. The fourth standard is, will the conditional use be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the area? The proposed use should not affect the use and enjoyment of the other property in the area at all. Petitioner already conducts an agricultural activity on the 107-acre farm. The area in which the facility will be constructed is blocked from view by the existing building and petitioner's orchards. From the perspective of other property owners, there will be no practical change in the use of the property. The fifth standard is whether the conditional use substantially diminish and impair property value in the area. Again, petitioner has designed the facility to limit noise and odor. Because of the restrictions imposed by the McHenry County Ordinance, the impact on surrounding properties would be much less than if petitioner just simply, raised additional animals at the property, which would be permitted as a matter of right in an A1 district. The sixth standard is, are adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and other necessary facilities provided? Utilities and access roads servicing the property already exist. Seller has worked with the health department to design an appropriate septic system and to ensure drainage is in compliance with applicable ordinances. Again, there's be no animal waste disposed of on site. The seventh standard is, has the conditional use operation been designed to provide ingress and egress to minimize traffic congestion and hazard on the public streets? Again, given the limited scope of your operations at the property, the operation will not generate any more traffic than otherwise would be associated with farm activities. Additionally, you've elected to locate the facility in an area of your property so as to minimize traffic congestion on public streets. Will the conditional use conform to the applicable standards of the underlying zoning district? Again, the requested use is permitted in the A1 district with the conditional use that we are requesting. The second component of our petition is a requested variance. The zoning ordinance requires 330 feet of road frontage for an A1 parcel. We are seeking a variance from the required 330 feet of road frontage to 0 feet of road frontage. So again, looking back at the aerial photo, Sergey, Here again is your 107-acre parcel. And as illustrated, your 107-acre parcel is landlocked, correct?
Correct.
There's no direct access, or I'm sorry, there's no direct frontage on either side of the 107 acres.
Correct.
Rather, access to the site is via this road here to the west that runs to Greenwood Road, correct?
Correct.
The County Athena website shows aerial photos of your property going back to 1939. The 1939 aerial clearly shows that even then, the 107-acre parcel was landlocked, and that same road was there to service the homestead on the property. The subject property or parcel, again, is part of a larger 57-acre parcel, and ingress and egress to the parcel is granted via perpetual easements through the adjacent property.
Correct.
And those easements have been in effect since 1896.
Yes.
And the 107-acre parcel has been accessed in such a manner prior to the adoption of the McHenry County zoning ordinance, correct?
Correct.
So we submitted with our zoning application and in support of our variance request, copies of the various deeds and agreements establishing the access rights of way. So just to, and also an easement timeline. So just to hit the high points, isn't it true that the 1896 deed conveyed the west half of the northwest quarter of section 14? Such deed accepted and reserved to the grantors who own the property to the east the right to use as a roadway a strip of land not to exceed 2 rods in width across the west half of the northwest quarter, immediately south of a line extending on the east of the south line of the cemetery lot.
Correct.
And then in May 1935, there were 2 documents recorded successively. One was a grant of right-of-way over the west half of the northwest quarter, which again granted the right to use to the use of a roadway the width of 2 rods. That said roadway shall forever hereafter be included in and become part of all further conveyances of the said premises, as a means and way of ingress to and egress from the said premises to the public highway. The next document immediately after that was recorded was another deed that conveyed the west half of the northwest quarter. That conveyance was also made subject to a perpetual easement of travel the width of 2 rods wide. And again, which easement is forever to be appurtenant to the lands now owned by the grantor, which allow immediately east of the lands. Subsequent to that, there was an agreement recorded in 1956 between the owners of the property that you now own and the property owners to the west. And in that agreement, there was an acknowledgement that the prior rights-of-way weren't really specifically defined. So that agreement confirmed the location of the right-of-way and that it was hereafter to be appurtenant to the premises.
Correct.
In any of those easements, did any of those documents somehow limit the right-of-way or how it was to be used?
No.
It didn't limit it to farm traffic or farm implements. It was simply a grant of right-of-way for ingress and egress from your property to the public highway.
Correct.
So at this point, I would like to step you through the approval standards for the granting of this requested variance. The first is what hardship is placed upon the property owner due to the particular surrounding shape or topographic conditions of the property if the strict letter of the zoning regulation were carried out. So you've testified this is a small part-time operation, it's limited in scope. The area that you're seeking for the conditional use is only 202 feet by 205 feet.
That's correct.
Correct. So the parcel itself doesn't have 330 feet
Correct.
on one side. So there's no way for you to comply with the required 330 feet of frontage.
Correct.
In fact, the entire surrounding 107 acres cannot comply with the 330-foot requirement.
Correct.
And that's because that's how it's existed for many years. You and your predecessors have been lawfully able to access the property via that easement. So you have a 107-acre parcel that's landlocked to access via these rights-of-ways. The 1-acre parcel that you wish to operate on is part of that 107-acre parcel. So you're essentially asking that you be entitled to access the 1-acre parcel in the same manner that you've been accessing the underlying 107-acre parcel, and the way that's been accessed since 1896.
Correct.
So if the strict letter of the zoning regulation were carried out, you wouldn't be able to access your property for these requirements.
Correct.
The second standard is, how is the hardship unique to this property and not applicable to all properties within the same zoning district? Excuse me. As a 107-acre parcel has been accessed via the easements since at least 1896, the condition is unique to your property, correct? There's no
Correct.
other properties like
Yes.
this in the area. The third standard is, other than increased monetary gain, what is the purpose of the variation? Isn't the purpose of the variation to allow you to utilize a portion in the middle of your agricultural property to be utilized for a processing facility? And isn't such use complementary to your already existing agricultural use of the surrounding property?
Yes.
Doesn't that use also further the goals of the 2030 Comprehensive Plan and the 2030 and Beyond Comprehensive Plan?
Yes.
The fourth standard is, did the property owner or past owners create the difficulty or hardship that the variation seeks to relieve? Again, the hardship was created when the parcels were created. Neither the underlying parcel nor the surrounding 107 acres have any road frontage. Access can only be gained through these access easements.
Correct.
And will the variation be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to other property or improvements in the neighborhood?
No.
And that's because there will be no change in how the property is accessed, correct?
Correct.
The use will be no more intensive than the current agricultural use.
That's right.
And again, for all intents and purposes, the proposed processing facility will in all respects simply resemble another agricultural building, and agricultural uses on the property,
That's correct.
all of which more than 800 feet from the nearest residential zoning district.
Correct.
Will the variation impair an adequate supply of light and air to adjacent property, increase congestion on the public streets, increase the risk of fire to adjacent property, or substantially diminish or impair property values within the neighborhood?
No.
And that's because the proposed use is no different than that of any other agricultural building.
Correct.
Correct. And the final standard is, would this variation confer upon you any special privilege that would be denied to other owners with property in the same zoning district?
Correct.
And again, the variation would simply allow you to access this property, this 1 acre parcel, or this 1 acre portion of your property in the same manner that it's
Correct.
been accessed. Okay. The last of our variance requests, we had to, the last of our requests is to request a variance to the 500-foot distance requirement set forth in section HH, paragraph 16.56.030 of the UDO, as the same relates to the distance between an animal slaughter operation and a residential structure located in an agricultural zoning district. So you chose to locate the facility in the, where the red dot is on the map.
Correct.
And that's about as far away from your surrounding neighbors as you could potentially put that, correct?
That's correct.
It also allows you to utilize that portion where you have some existing buildings and not impact productive farm ground.
That's correct.
Did you have discussions with planning and staff development prior to filing the application?
Yes, we have.
And in particular, did you discuss the existence of the existing residence located north of your proposed site?
Yes, we did.
And that residence is about 217 feet away from your proposed facility?
That's correct.
And were you informed at that time, before we filed anything, that the 500-foot restriction in the ordinance would not apply because you owned the residence?
We was not informed. We told that building, our house is exempt from requirements because we own that house.
Okay. And you then proceeded to finalize your design based on what you were told?
That's correct.
Your site plan, your septic design plan, all of that are specific to this particular location?
Correct.
You went ahead, had the plans prepared, and then at that point, we filed our application?
Yes.
Correct? Before the hearing, you went through, or actually before our prior hearing, you went through site plan review.
Correct.
Was the location of your existing residence ever raised during site plan review?
No.
And that site plan had to be approved before a hearing was scheduled before the ZBA?
Correct.
It was only during the prior hearing that staff informed you that the residence that you own on the property would be subject to the 500-foot rule?
Correct. At the end of the hearing, yes.
And had staff made you aware of this initially, could you have relocated the facility to conform with the 500-foot rule?
Yes, I could.
You've got 107 acres that you could have put.
Yes.
Could you have located it so that it would be both 500 feet from the existing residence and 500 feet from
Yes.
the nearest zoning residence?
Yes, we could.
District? So to change your site plan now, to move the building, would that create a hardship?
Yes.
Can you just take your current septic design plan, for instance, and just shift it to a different part?
No.
It's all specific to that
Yes.
particular site. So you'd have to redo plans, incur additional costs for a new septic plan,
Yes.
costs that you've already incurred to get to this point.
Yes.
And then, just to be clear, we are not requesting a variance to the 500-foot distance requirement as it relates to the distance between an animal slaughter operation and any residential zoning district.
Correct.
Correct. It's just the 500 feet between a residence in an agricultural zoning district.
Correct.
And again, we've demonstrated that that the location of this facility meets the requirements and exceeds the requirements that are in the ordinance for distance to a residential zoning district.
Correct.
So rather, the purpose of this variation is to allow you to keep the facility in the location that was originally designed in compliance.
Correct.
Or in cooperation with county staff.
Yes.
Are you familiar with the Alagu petition that was recently approved that permitted the construction of a processing facility closer than 500 feet to a residence in an A1 district?
Yes.
And your understanding from staff is that it was approved without the necessity for the type of variance that we're requesting now because the residence was owned by the petitioner in that matter.
That's right.
So I'm going to show you a picture that we marked at Petitioner's Exhibit 1, which you guys all have. This was obtained from a Freedom of Information Act request that our office made with respect to the Alagu petition that the county approved. And this is the site plan that was presented as part of the Alagu petition. So the site plan here shows the location of the proposed processing facility, correct?
Correct.
And then just south of that proposed processing facility, there's a semi-trailer that just happened to be there when they took the picture. But south of that, what is that building there?
It's a residential house.
Okay, so that's a house. Turning your attention to the second page, this was also submitted as part of the Alagu petition. There's the proposed processing facility, and they've got a 500-foot radius around the location of that processing facility. That residence, that's located well within the 500 feet, correct?
Correct.
Based on the scale at the bottom of the drawing, it looks like that house can't be more than 150 to 175 feet.
Correct.
Okay. So again, well within the 500-foot radius. The ordinance approving the Alagu's petition for conditional use for food processing with animal slaughter, the ordinance issued on June 17, 2025. We filed our petition on September 9, 2024. Our first hearing before the ZBA in the prior matter was May 22. The second hearing was May 28. So we started our petition with the understanding that the house that you own on the property would be exempt from the 500-foot.
Correct.
Right. And the Alagu petition was approved and the ordinance passed, presumably based on the understanding that the home was owned by the petitioner and was thus exempt. And then on June 27, 10 days after the Alagu ordinance issued, staff told us, no, the house that you own on the property is now not exempt from the 500-foot rule. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that's what's prompted us to seek this variance.
Correct.
As of our last hearing date, staff explained to you that the county approved the Alagu petition without the necessity for a variance because the county was relying on the interpretation of the statute by the prior head of planning and development.
Correct.
And you received that same interpretation before you finalized your plan and we filed our petition.
Yes.
And now that interpretation has changed.
Correct.
And again, that's why we're having to seek this variation. I am happy to rely on the standards that were submitted as part of the application in satisfaction of the approval standards for this, or I can read through them.
You mean the approval standards for the conditional use permit that you went through?
The conditionals, just for this particular variance.
Oh, for this variation?
Correct. I'm happy to go through them. I don't want anybody nodding off.
I think you should go through them, Terry.
So then let's go through them. Let's go through the standards. The first standard is what hardship is placed on the property owner due to the particular surrounding shape or topographic conditions of the property if the strict letter of the zoning regulations were carried out. The subject parcel is part of a larger 57-acre parcel. In total, petitioner owns 107 acres that surround the subject parcel. Petitioner began discussions with the County Health Department regarding the proposed facility approximately 18 months prior to filing its zoning application with the proposed processing facility in its presently proposed location. Prior to filing the application, petitioner had numerous discussions with planning and development staff. In particular, the existing residence located on petitioner's property was discussed in relation to the restrictions set forth in paragraph HH of section 16.56.030 of the UDO that prohibits an animal slaughter operation within 500 feet of a residential structure located in an agricultural zoning district. At that time, planning and development staff informed petitioner that the 500-foot restriction would not apply because the only residential structure located in an agricultural zoning district within the 500 feet of the proposed facility is owned by petitioner. In reliance on such assertion, petitioner designed its site plan and filed the zoning application. Now, after petitioner has filed its application, paid for the necessary site plans, paid for the necessary septic design plans, after petitioner has gone through the staff review process, received staff plat approval, planning and development staff has informed petitioner that the 500-foot restriction does in fact apply. Petitioner has spent substantial sums to tailor its specific septic design and other plans to the particular location set forth in the site plan. Included with the application and approved during site plan review. To carry out the strict letter of the ordinance would require petitioner to relocate the facility to another area on petitioner's property, thus requiring the duplication of the time and costs already incurred by petitioner to get to this point in the process. The second standard is how is the hardship unique to this property and not applicable to all properties within the same zoning district? The condition is unique to the subject parcel because of the circumstances giving rise to the necessity of the variance. Petitioner relied to its detriment on the assertion of the county staff that the 500 feet requirement would not apply to petitioner because petitioner owns the residence, the only residence located within such 500 feet. At no time during staff plat review was such restriction brought up, and petitioner's site plan, including the location of the proposed facility in relation to the residence, was approved. Third is, other than increased monetary gain, what is the purpose of the variation? The purpose of the variation is to allow petitioner to keep the facility located in an area previously approved by county staff, avoiding a duplication of the substantial costs that petitioner has already incurred in connection with this application. Did the property owner or past owners create the difficulty or hardship that the variation seeks to relieve? The hardship was created when planning and development staff informed petitioner that the 500-foot restriction would not apply and then changed its mind. Had we known ahead of time, there's ample area on this 107-acre parcel where the facility could have been located. We could have located it south of the existing building and avoided the 500-foot conflict. The fifth is, will the variation be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the other property or improvements in the neighborhood? The variation won't be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to other properties or improvements. The additional restrictions set forth in 16.56.010 are not health and safety concerns. And that's the section where it imposes that 500-foot rule. Rather, section 16.56.010 states specifically that, and I'm quoting, The purpose of this chapter is to set forth additional requirements for certain uses of land. These standards are intended to ensure that the use is compatible with surrounding area. It has nothing to do with health and safety. The sixth standard is, will the variation impair an adequate supply of light and air to adjacent property, increase congestion on the public streets, increase the risk of fire to adjacent property, or substantially diminish or impair property values within the neighborhood? Again, it will not increase any danger. It will not impair an adequate supply of light and air, increase congestion in the public streets, increase danger of fire. The proposed use, again, is no different than any other farm building out there. And then finally, will this variation confer special privilege to the property owner that is denied to other owners with property in the same zoning district? No, it would not. In fact, denying the request would deny petitioner the privilege that was afforded to the petitioner in the Yalagu petition, which was approved on the same set of circumstances and based on the same staff interpretation of the ordinance as was relied upon petitioner, or was relied upon by petitioner. And then just let me, a couple of additional questions for you, Sergey. Unless we can take a break for 2 minutes. Did you guys want a break?
Yeah, we'll take a break as soon as you finish your testimony. Will it take much longer to
No, it
wrap
shouldn't.
it up?
It
Okay.
shouldn't. Just to be clear, we are asking for the construction of a processing facility where all of the processing activities will be conducted inside.
Correct.
And all of the liquids that are going into the special holding tank, those are all liquids from the processing. So it's water, blood, bile, things like that. Okay.
Correct.
Are you aware of other programs in the state of Illinois that allow farmers to slaughter animals outside on their own properties?
Yes, we are aware, but we would like to be under USDA inspection.
No, I understand that, and we're not asking to be able to slaughter outside, but you sent me 2 videos yesterday that showed guys, you know, trailers full of chickens coming up, and they slaughtered them in an assembly line outside. Where did those materials go? Where do they dispose of?
They consider not hazardous material, and they disposal under under tree, wherever, under field.
Right. So other parts of the state, people are allowed to slaughter and dispose of that waste on site.
Correct.
We're collecting it, we're having it hauled away.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay, we're going to take a short break, and then we'll reconvene in about 5 or 10 minutes.
Sorry, we didn't.
right, I'm going to call us back to order with the audience members. Audience members, please stop talking and take a seat, please. So the petitioner has finished their testimony of this witness. I just have, before we start questions from the board, Mr. McKenna, there were two other standards for conditional use permit that I would like you to address, number 9 and 10 in our ordinance. Maybe you can put that back up on the screen, Anna. There you go.
Very good. Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity. The first of the two standards is the conditional use reasonably in the interest of the public welfare? Would you say that this is in the interest of the public welfare?
Yes.
And is,
No comments by public or you'd be asked to leave.
and isn't
This is
that?
a hearing.
Sorry. Isn't that because it is in the interest of the public welfare to keep agricultural property in McHenry County agricultural?
Correct.
And isn't this type of a facility part of an agricultural business?
Correct.
And for a business to survive, it has to be profitable?
Yes.
And isn't it also true that when agricultural properties can no longer be profitable, they cease to be agricultural properties?
Correct.
And instead, they become developed, and they become more rooftops, and more drain on the natural area.
Correct.
So, given the fact that this will allow you to keep your agricultural activities profitable and allow you to keep this as an agricultural parcel, isn't that in the interest of the public welfare?
That should be.
Not to mention the customers that will be able to, utilize your product?
Correct.
The second standard is that adequate measures will be taken to protect groundwater recharge and groundwater quality. The staff report does not indicate that there's no record of floodplain or wetland on the property.
Correct.
They have no record of hydraulic soils.
Correct.
Correct. The property is not located in a sensitive aquifer recharge area.
Correct.
Correct. What is planned for the property is a septic system which will generate no more waste than a standard residential.
That's correct.
System, correct? And as has been testified to, no other type of waste is going to be disposed of in that septic system.
Correct.
And these are the measures that you're taking to protect groundwater recharge and groundwater quality.
Correct.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Okay, we'll start with questions on my right. Ms. Beverly.
And I'm sorry, one last thing. I was asked by Mr. Burney, because it sounds an awful lot like I'm the one testifying, but we're doing this in an effort to try to speed things along as opposed to ask and answer. So I've been asked to state that anything that I have said that sounds like testimony is to be attributed to the petitioner.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Beverly.
Thank you. You received the slide deck from the public comment prior to the hearing, the 88-page slide deck from the neighbors?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
You need to speak in better to the microphone. Thank you.
I'm looking at slides 44 and 45 regarding the negative impact on property values, and I wondered if you had any data or response to the references cited.
No.
Okay.
Instead, though, we're relying on the fact that this facility isn't even going to be visible by the other properties. They won't even know that it's there.
Okay. Last hearing, when we really got into the weeds on the easement, and I was just wondering if you filed anything to quiet the title since May of this year?
There's been no need to quiet title. We have perpetual easements running back to 1896 that allow ingress and egress to and from Greenwood Road.
Okay.
So,
In the building permit comments from staff plat review on page 5, they note that you'll need permission from the easement holder to proceed with the building permit stage, and I just wondered if anything had changed since then.
I would state that they are incorrect.
Okay. Regarding the alarm system on site, is there a way to silence the alarm once it goes off? Can you explain like how exactly the alarm works? Because I feel like there's some confusion, both with the public and myself about does it like ding your phone? Does it just beep? Like, how does this work?
That's a beep all over the building, yes.
And are you required under the USDA standards to like document when it goes off and when it's cleared out, or is that done by the EPA certified company that comes to do it?
The EPA certified company does it.
And they keep the records regarding when it's emptied
When
and
they
how much
empty,
they pull
yes.
out?
Yes.
Okay.
And there is an inspector, a USDA inspector there at all times when you are processing, correct?
Correct.
So if the alarm goes off, the USDA inspector would have that information, correct?
Yes.
And wouldn't the USDA inspector then require that the tank be pumped so that activities would stop until that was happened?
I guess that's not his obligation. That's my duty is to call right away to the company to pump it out.
Right, but.
In order to continue work.
That's what I wanted to get at.
It's my understanding there's a difference between the USDA certification process and the state of Illinois certification process, and the process that you described where, as a farmer, you're entitled by right to slaughter animals on your property up to a certain extent as long as they're sold on the property. It's your intention to only operate this building as part of a USDA certification process. You won't have some days where you're just state of Illinois certification process. At all times, it will be USDA.
As of now, yes. That's basically same requirements for USDA or state, same strict requirements.
Does the state require an inspector on site all the time?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't clear, thank you. Now, it's been the testimony that this building is really no different than the greenhouse that exists on the site, is my general interpretation of it and sort of what's in the narrative supplied. What sort of greenhouse is on the site? Is it a polytunnel? Is it a wooden greenhouse, metal?
No, that's just the polytunnel.
Okay. So this building would be substantially different in nature and materials from a polytunnel?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. With the polytunnel, do you have like electricity in there for a heater and a fan and all of that stuff?
Yes.
Okay. I think that's all I have for now.
Mr. Schnabel.
Yes, good afternoon. I don't have a lengthy list of questions since we've run through these more or less once before. But for this hearing, I would like to start with clarifying one thing. Every plan people look at says chicken slaughter facility, basically, on the plan. Is it in fact your plan? Please confirm yes or no. You will be doing some cows and you will be doing some pigs. Is there anything else you'd like to add to that list?
No.
No deer, no lambs? No. Understood, okay. My second question is, it's my understanding you hold a number of special events at the farm during the course of the year. Could you give me an example, if in fact you do, an example of a few of those events?
Events, for example, pick your own strawberry, pick your own apples in fall. That's the type of events.
Are there any events involving special activities for kids beyond,
No.
picking at this point?
No.
The reason I ask is, on your new building where you're obviously going to have the restrooms sized for, 15 people a day and so forth, when you have these special events, I'm concerned, and I'd just like your response to this, I'm concerned that you might open that building either for the general public to look at what's inside or just for the purpose of using the restrooms. How do you handle restrooms currently? Is it porta potties?
Yes, porta potty is required. That's how we're doing now.
I just wanted to bring that out, and that's as far as I'm going to go right now. I'll pass it along. Thank you.
Thanks.
Ms. Gardner.
I was going to ask you about the other animals you might be slaughtering as well, but you're saying chickens, pigs, And what else?
We don't have too many beefs now, just mostly the chicken and pigs at our
Okay.
petition.
Do you plan on adding anything in the future?
Not yet.
Okay. As far as the house, is that, I think you stated that it was your employees that lived
Yes.
in the house? And you intend to keep it that way?
Yes.
Okay. Are they renting, or are they, you're not paying them as much and using that as rent, or what?
We provide as a part of the benefit package for them.
Okay. All right, so that house is going to stay a residence for your employees?
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. There was one other question. Well, I asked this before, but I'm going to ask it again, just because I want to hear you say it again, okay? If you didn't have to come here, if you didn't have to go through this hearing process to do what you want to do, would anybody know that you were doing animal slaughtering or any other processing there?
I cannot build the building without permit, so that's the issue.
Yeah, but that building's going to be...
If we would, no, nobody would notice.
Like if I lived directly behind your farm there, I would not know. I would not know any difference.
Absolutely. You wouldn't notice anything.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Mr. Eldridge, you'll need the microphone down there.
I'd like to draw your attention to a schematic of the inside of your slaughter facility. Can you? Yeah. Looking at the rooms here, there's a pre-chill cooler, a holding cooler, a cooler, an awful cooler, and a freezer. All of those are at least somewhat refrigerated, is that correct?
Correct.
And in order to maintain the refrigeration requires electricity, is that not correct?
That's correct.
And if that were to go out for a considerable period of time, you would lose whatever was inside there, and the inspector would see that it was destroyed. So it is in your personal financial interest to make sure that there's electricity providing that refrigeration as close to all times as possible. Is that not true?
That's true.
In other words, it is very much in your interest to see to it that there's electricity there all the time, so that the electrically operated buzzer on your tank would also operate. Is that not also correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. With regard to the house on the property, if you moved your facility a significant distance away from that house, doing so would have the effect of getting closer to somebody else's residential property, wouldn't it?
That's correct, but we got plenty room to move it closer to comply with 500 feet rules.
Yes.
And get away from this house. But it
But
will take
you
another.
still would be somewhat closer and somewhat less obscure.
Yes.
To at least somebody's residential property.
Correct.
So you chose to locate it pretty much as far away, still being on your property, from third parties'
That's
residential
the reason.
property, but locating it fairly close to a house that you own and that one of your employees resides in.
That's correct.
Or one or more employees. Now, if I may speak to Mr. McKenna for a moment, I think that we both know that a rod is 16 feet, but I want to confirm that.
16 and a half feet, yes, 2 rods, 33 feet.
Yes. So the easement for egress which, as you've pointed out, has been there since 1896, is 33 feet wide for its entire distance.
Correct.
And would you confirm that when the county requires a commercial driveway, that the requirement is 24 feet?
Yes.
So there's plenty of room to have a commercial driveway within that easement, should the county require that.
That is correct, with room to spare on either side.
And so have you spoken at all to fire district or other emergency vehicle operators, first responders, as to whether they would have a problem getting in this particular easement?
Have not, no.
Okay, but
there would be, as you pointed out, at a typical 24-foot driveway, this would be 33 feet. At the end, there's ample room for them to turn around and head back out.
Yeah, I'd like to just comment that I hate the location of this easement because I have considerable family that is buried in that cemetery. But that has nothing to do with your client, because it goes back to 1896. And actually, part of the cemetery doesn't go back nearly that far.
Correct.
But so your client has not in any way modified the easement or had any impact on the easement. All of the various legal recordings and agreements long predate his ownership of the property. Is that not correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that's all I have right now.
Mr. Cozen.
My question's trying to go to the issue of scope. Specifically, do the range or number of chickens that are likely to be processed per day? We understand that the business day and this facility will be only 1 day a week, but how many chickens are likely to be processed at
50, 60.
50 to 60 a week?
Yes.
Do you plan to sell any of your produce out of the state of Illinois?
Product.
Well, the chickens, however we want to.
We planning to work under USDA, which has allowed us to sell if somebody would like to buy. If somebody come from Wisconsin, we can legally sell, yes.
Right, so that clarifies the.
Yes.
When you have an event at you pick up the Sunbury Orchard, which is identified on the illustration, about how many people arrive to do either the apple pickup or the strawberry pickup?
That can be range from 100 to 200 visitors a day.
If successfully going forward, do you plan to isolate or separate those who are coming to the orchard versus the processing?
Yes, definitely.
Will there be, for those people who come to pick up the chicken product, will they also be able to purchase orchard products as well at the same time?
That's under question now, how county will permit that.
How do the, you say that you raise the chickens, how do they arrive on the property? And
They live on property.
I understand that, but are they delivered in crates and then?
In crates, yes.
And so how many truck deliveries? Are they delivered as eggs? Are they delivered before? Or?
One-time delivery like a chicks.
And then where would you obtain, if you continue to pursue the cattle and the sheep
Not cattle, the pigs we grow right on the farm as well.
And again, are they brought to your facility?
They burn on farm.
So, to the question of the size, so if you have 56 chickens a week, you still you consider yourself what size scale agricultural farm?
Small.
Are you aware that the state has raised the limit on what a small farm is?
Yes,
processing?
we are aware.
And do you believe your operation is less than that?
We are less, yes.
If I could focus in on maybe Mr. McKenna can help. I understand the recordation existence of the easement as well as established as to its location, but what is its permitted scope of use?
The permitted scope of use is ingress and egress to and from the property to the public road.
But the purpose of the egress would undoubtedly be different in 1896 than in 2025.
There were no restrictions that were placed on it. And that's the same situation with any easement that may be granted or reserved in this case.
So if the county were to consider and approve a gravel pit, that easement would be adequate to serve that purpose?
If the county were to approve a gravel pit, then yes.
Even though it's a private easement?
Well, it's a private easement that the dominant parcel is the parcel that the petitioner owns. So they have the right, even though it's owned by somebody else, they have the right to use that for their ingress and egress purposes.
I have no further questions, thank you.
Mr. Kernick.
I have just a few questions. Good afternoon, Mr. Belichick. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Baziluk.
Huh?
Baziluk.
Okay, I'll avoid trying to say it.
That's
again.
fine. Good enough. Thank you.
I understand from your testimony that there's going to be occasional slaughtering of cows. Did I understand that?
Cows not in our petition. We don't have cows as of now. We're not growing cows. We got only 4 beefs right now. We specialize on growing heritage breed pigs. We got Red Wattle, Gloucestershire, Tamworth, Mangalitsa. That's a special breed of pigs, what we grow. That's what we specialize on.
Okay, you specialize on pigs,
Yes,
not on chickens.
chickens as well.
Chickens as well. I thought I heard you mention that there would be an occasional cow as well slaughtered there?
Not at this point. We're not
Okay.
specializing on cows.
Okay, so it's right now it's solely pigs and chickens.
Correct.
I heard testimony that it would be between 50 and 60 chickens per week.
50, 60, yes.
Okay, how many pigs per week?
5, 6,
5 to 6 pigs?
yes.
And I understand that those pigs are born on your property, is that
Correct.
what you said? Okay. As far as during the apple picking season, have there been instances where cars are backed up on the easement?
No,
They've all been able to park on your property?
yes.
This is the 100 to 200 vehicles, I think you said?
Visitors per day. That's 50, 60 vehicles, and we got like 2 acres grass parking right on property.
Okay, and the same for strawberries. There's never been instances during the
No.
strawberry picking season where people have been parking out on the gravel easement?
No,
And incidentally, that easement, that road is gravel, it's not paved, correct?
it's gravel, yes.
Is it nice and smooth? Are there divots in it, or?
Like a
bumps?
gravel,
Like a typical gravel
like a triple
road?
gravel, yes.
Okay. Now, as I understand it, from your attorney's testimony, as far as the impact on property values, it's your position that the sole basis for your claim that there's not going to be any negative impact on property values is the fact that this building is going to be screened by your orchards.
Correct.
Counsel, am I understanding your position correctly?
That's one of the things that will screen that, yes.
Well, is there any other basis that you're claiming that property values are not going to be adversely affected other than the fact that those orchards exist?
The orchards exist, there's an existing building that is there. The building itself.
Ray, bring the microphone closer.
The building itself will be no different than if petitioner put up an ag exempt building that he would be entitled to do anyway.
Okay. Would you agree, sir, that those orchards that you have do not screen all of the properties that border your property to the east?
There is another 10,000 square feet building which is gonna obstruct our new building as well.
My question, sir, is would you agree that orchards do not screen all of the properties that border your property to the east, particularly up in the northeast?
Yes, I can agree to that.
Okay. And in fall and winter, when leaves fall off the trees, would those orchards, those trees really provide any significant screening of your property from all of the residences?
Some would provide screening, but like
Not a lot, right?
Like Attorney Terry said, that's a regular building from outside. You cannot tell the difference. That's Slattern or that's Paul Barron or whatever the other building. You cannot tell how it looks, what is going on there.
Okay, but the building looks substantially different from what you currently have there, correct?
Depends what you call substantial. That's
Well,
like a Paul Barron type building.
No, but I'm talking about what you currently have there and what will be.
Yeah, that's a greenhouse currently there. Yes, correct.
The building that you propose looks substantially different, correct?
Yes.
And also, incidentally, how high are those apple trees and peach trees that you have in your orchard?
12 feet.
How much?
12 feet.
12 feet. I assume all of those homes that are along your property along the east are not single-story ranches, correct?
Correct.
Some of them are two-story?
Yes.
So with respect to people looking out of their bedrooms or whatever else they have on their second store, those orchards would not provide any screening at all, correct?
Possible.
Possible, but you don't anticipate any significant screening from people who are standing on the second floor, correct?
Correct.
Now, another question I have is, how, in your opinion, if we could have the conditional use back up there, please, Anna. Addressing number 9, for a conditional use, the conditional use must show that the conditional use is reasonably in the interest of the public welfare. See that there?
Yes.
How is the construction and operation of your slaughterhouse in this location reasonably in the interest of the public welfare?
Because the preserve agriculture always in interest the public, in my opinions.
Well,
I believe they would prefer to see my orchard instead of new residential homes rise on that farm.
But we're talking about the use, and we're talking about the use of the use of what you propose putting there is
Yes.
a slaughterhouse, correct?
Yes.
How is a slaughterhouse, which is the use that you're requesting, reasonably in the interest of the public welfare?
Provide fresh, good food to the public, the local public as well.
Okay.
They will have access to it.
You are not the only slaughterhouse in McHenry County, are you?
Not too many as I know. If you need to process chicken, you will have hard time to find the place where to go. Same for pigs.
I have not seen anything in the literature where people are saying, gee, we don't have any place to slaughter our chickens or pigs in McHenry
Yes,
County.
nowadays the really problem, if you will talk to my colleagues farmers, you will hear a lot of stories about that.
Okay, now you currently, where do you get your pigs and chickens slaughtered?
At another processors.
Pardon?
Another processors.
In another processor?
Yes.
Where's that located?
At Aikman, like 1.5 hour drive from my farm.
Okay, and in what county is that located?
I don't know what county. on west side of Illinois.
Okay. Also, if you could just tell me a little bit about your operation and how all of your farms and raising of chickens and pigs interact. As I understand it, this farm here that we're talking about, this operation, is not the only one you have, correct?
Correct.
I think your testimony was you have 3 farms?
Yes.
Is that 3 farms total or 3 farms in addition to this one?
3 farms in addition to this
So
one.
you have a total of 4 farms?
Yes.
And I think you said that on 2 of your farms you raise chicken and pigs?
Correct.
Is this one of those farms that you that you're
Yes.
talking about? So there's only one other farm where you raise
Correct.
chicken and pigs?
Yes.
Where is that farm located that you raise chicken?
1.5 mile away on same Greenwood Road.
Okay, and so for slaughter, your plan is to bring chickens and pigs that are raised on that other farm here for slaughter?
Yes.
Now, you mentioned that you expect 8 to 9, as I recall, 8 to 9 online orders of animals?
Yes.
Okay, do you currently get 8 to 9 orders for animals?
No, we don't. We do not sell online as of now at all.
Okay, well, what do you base your estimate then that you're going to only have 8 to 9 online orders?
Because that's how long does it take to sell our product what we're growing.
Okay. When did you acquire this property that we're talking about?
7 years ago.
7 years ago. What was the property being used for at the time you acquired it?
Corn and soybeans.
Corn and soybeans?
Yes.
When you acquired it, was it your plan to raise chickens and pigs?
We start from orchard. That's were our initial plan. Then our customers start asking for the farm-grown fresh chickens and pork, heritage breeds, which is they cannot buy from the local department stores. That's what forced us to start dealing with animals.
Okay. And at least as I understand, so how soon did you decide to focus on chickens and pigs?
4 years ago.
How long?
4 years ago, we started doing chickens.
At least as I recall from your attorney's testimony when he was asking you questions, that it was in the public interest to be a profitable business.
Correct.
Are you building this slaughterhouse in order to decrease your costs?
In order to increase the cost and value of my product, which is we growing on our farm.
It's to increase the value.
Increase the value of my product, my chickens, my pork.
To increase the value of the.
Yes.
Excuse me, sir. I'll try and avoid interrupting you if you can try and avoid interrupting me.
Okay.
I'm certain you know where I'm going with some of these questions or anticipate it, but you may not.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Yes.
Okay, so you're planning on putting this slaughterhouse because it's going to increase the value of the animals that you raise on this property?
Correct.
And in turn, you're going to make more money?
Yes.
Isn't that the reason you want this, is to increase your profit and to make more money?
My interest is provide as fresh as possible product to the customers.
In order to make more money, right?
In order to satisfy their requirements.
In order to make more money?
As your opinions, yes.
Well, are you doing this just out of altruism, just to say, I want
No,
to make sure people
in
enjoy
order
my
to
food?
survive in agriculture business.
Pardon?
In order to survive my farm, to stay in business, in agriculture business.
In order to stay, to satisfy the people, or
Yes.
to make money?
Yes.
Okay. What other reasons do you have for building this slaughterhouse?
That's the best and most human way to process animals. The same place where they born and grow.
How is that more humane? I'm just
You don't have to
curious.
load them in middle of the night and take 2 hours drive one way to processors. Then you come over, stay 3-4 hours in line to get unloaded. So that's not, in my consideration, that's humane way. We will have possibility to process right on farm.
Well, then you let them sit in the pen and settle down,
No,
don't you?
they don't have to sit in pen. They can walk right from the field to the slaughtering room.
Well, I'm just talking about chickens or pigs. right?
Chickens cannot walk too far, so we have to put them in crates and bring to the slaughtering room. That's correct.
Well, but my point is that whatever you truck in, they sit in the pens for a while, is that right?
Not as long as in other places.
Okay. I have nothing further at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I have some questions regarding the transportation. I've been reading about the comments by the Division of Transportation and the Staff Plat Review Committee, and they're talking about minor access versus major access, and what kind of vehicles will be coming into this property. So can you tell me, like, you know, how you deliver the animals to this property?
We got Ford 2500. That's a half-ton truck with small cattle trailer.
So you have the trailer behind the trucks?
Yes.
And that brings them in?
Yes.
And then what kind of trucks are coming in for supplies or for pumping? Do you know from other situations what kind of vehicles these are?
What rendering company, which truck they're using, I do not know. I haven't seen those trucks yet.
And far as the types of vehicles that you use to take your supplies out, do you have any idea about that? What kind of vehicles?
Our apples, we still using like
No, I'm not talking about the apples. I'm talking about your meat products then.
meat products taken out. We can with refrigeration small, like that's a 2500 Ford Transit with coolers in it.
Okay. Because it says that depending on the vehicles or vehicle combinations of 3 axles or more, that you would need a major access versus a minor access to this county highway. And it sounded like they had a lot of questions that you had no answers to based on your narrative and your site plan. They wanted to know how many employees and how many vehicles, employees, deliveries, customers, et cetera, would be visiting this site, because depending on how much that is, it depends on how much access you need, and there's certain requirements then for major access, including a traffic study and including the right-of-way, the minimum right-of-way, and all that sort of thing. So did you provide them with any of that information?
Have you provided?
Who's asking the question, and where was this?
This would be on the McHenry County Division of Transportation. This is during staff plat review.
I don't know.
This is
I don't know
dated
that we've
March
seen that.
17th, 2025. It's their memorandum as
That
of
was
March
prior
17th.
to this hearing.
Correct, but
So we went
Do you
through, we
need-
had to go through a separate staff plat review for this hearing.
you did go back to staff plat review for this hearing?
Yes, this was classified as a brand-new hearing.
Do you have minutes from that, Anna?
I haven't seen any minutes from the last one. That's why I'm curious.
Okay. Anna Kurtzman, Senior Planner for the record. There should be the reports from the staff plat for this particular hearing, this particular case. As I believe I indicated in an email to you, that many of the staff plat reviewers simply use their previous memos because nothing had changed. The information that the reviewer in that particular case is advising the applicant, like they do for all of the conditional use permits, that certain things will have to be done before a building permit is issued. Determination of whether it's a major or minor, whether or not there's dedication that would be required. Those are things that are typically done after the conditional use permit is issued and prior to the issuance of a building permit.
Okay, can you provide me with whatever minutes there are before the next hearing so that
Yes, I
I can
can.
have those? So this is the comment from the previous one, the previous petition. But they were saying that Greenwood Road is classified as an arterial, therefore a 55-foot half right-of-way would typically be required to meet ordinance requirements. However, since the property has no frontage to Greenwood Road, McDOT does not foresee how this would be attainable. Simply because the property has no frontage does not preclude the county from suggesting that the property attain as much right-of-way as feasible from the properties that do front on Greenwood and that the property holds easement with. Have you made any efforts to try and obtain right-of-way from these other properties that do front on Greenwood Road?
Not at this point, because it's not been a requirement. As staff indicated, that would be something that we would have to pursue after zoning approval and before the issue of building permits.
Okay, and then the other question that came up, well, I guess it's a statement that I think Ms. Beverly brought up. I just want to clarify. It says, in regard to the access easement that crosses parcel 08-14-100-018, as well as parcel 08-14-100-017 to get to the site, the petitioner shall obtain permission from each property owner, allowing the increase in traffic, both numbers as well as type trucks to this site.
There's no requirement whatsoever for that. I don't know who came up with that, but since we've sent everything else back to the state's attorney's office, perhaps they could weigh in on that as well, because we have validly existing rights of way from 1896. So there would be no requirement to get anybody's approval for any increase in traffic or anything like that. So.
Okay, then my other questions then are for Mr. Baziluk. So in building this, you have overbuilt the 3,000 gallon tank, which is much bigger than what you need for the, it said you'd take 2 months to fill it versus, having it to be emptied maybe every week or that sort of thing. And you have certainly, in my estimation, overbuilt this building for 4 employees. For what's needed for them. Is it your goal that your business will increase and then you will be able to use this 5 days a week and have more employees and have more customers? I mean, the investment you're making is pretty large.
We can make the smaller building if that would be necessary or required by the county, that satisfy county requirements, just to make that functional enough to process the quantity animals we put in our petition.
So your septic field and everything is geared for 21 people per day to use that?
Correct.
Okay. I have no other questions at this time. I'll save them for later. Anna, do you have any questions?
No questions at this time.
Okay, since it's after 4, we have to be out of this building at 4:30. And because we want to allow the public the opportunity to review the testimony because they did not know about the state's attorney's opinion that this is a new hearing and this needs to start from scratch, we're going to continue this hearing to a date in the future than when all questions by members of the public can be asked of the petitioner. So we will need to look at a new date.
Okay. So, Madam Chair, I took advantage of taking a look at the calendar ahead of time. It looks like the first available hearing date would be December the 18th, which is a Thursday.
Mr. McKenna, that's good with you?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And board members? Okay, so this hearing will be continued to December 18th at 1:30 PM in this same room. We will continue the hearing at that time.